Hi, Richard. I have to laugh at our intro because it is 22 February. Okay, so
Close
you're not
enough.
seeing things. Yeah, no, you're not seeing things. But I think the summit that you participated in was on the 22nd of February. I think so. It might have been. I don't know. It feels that it's too nearby, so I don't quite know. Let me check if get some
Over a
light
year
on my
ago.
top.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't feel like 22. Yeah, I don't know. It's 22 a year ago. Oh, yes, it is.
Wow. 21. It was 21, I think. Yeah. The time goes by.
Time goes by.
Yeah.
Right. So I want to go back to our little slide that we shared there because, okay, so let me just back up quickly and tell everybody what we're doing. So from the summit, we about talk, trust, feel, because most people have a problem with really talking deeply and truthfully about who we are and what we feel inside and trusting others and being willing to feel our feelings, our emotions, the ones that we are, even the ones that we are rejecting or don't want to feel or scared of or squished. So we call our summer talk, trust, feel. So people, just move it. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. Okay. So that's what we call our summit: talk, trust, feel, because that is the way to heal. And so I love talking to you. And now, of course, you are a co-author in our book, Talk, Trust, Feel. And so we are continuing the conversation because so many people in the world needs this. And I know, when I read through your chapter, Richard, it is just the one bit of missing information after the other, after the other. It's just so many of the things that are in your chapter is the missing information about how the brain really works, what it is that we really fool ourselves, how we manage to just get by, and the stuff that we really don't address. I mean, would you agree that that's more or less the gist of what it's all about?
Yes, absolutely. Because we don't know what we don't know. We create this survival model or strategy, and until something interrupts that, most people live their entire life like that. So and no idea any different.
Yeah. I explained it to somebody today like this, is that when you've got adult child syndrome, which 70 to 80% of us have, what you do is you have these beliefs that you form as a child. Your belief is part of your safety that you create for yourself. And you manage to get yourself to 18 with that belief system. And now you're very attached to your belief system. And because you're attached to your belief system and you really believe it worked because it did work for you up to 18, you try and do the same things in life. I mean, about 27, 28, when you're supposed to be grown up, it stops working for you. And then we're completely surprised. And we are lost and we are bewildered and we don't understand why. So we try and do it more and harder and it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is another way of explaining. Okay, so let me read this. Let me read your words to everyone. You can also read it yourself. Okay. Stories that we unconsciously pick up and tell ourselves can foster patterns of behavior and safeguards that we put into place to avoid feeling negative emotions. I think that's important. Avoid feeling negative emotions. No emotion is truly negative, of course, but our perception that it does not feel nice leads us to protect our emotional self. This protection is simply a trauma or a painful feeling that was never allowed to run its course and move through our system. So it was never processed, mostly because we were too small, right? So trauma eventually needs to be processed and negated if we want to be free of a behavior surrounding it. Okay, so let's go back to this. Uh, Patterns of behavior. We pick up patterns of behavior and safeguards that we put in place in order to avoid feeling negative emotions. Right. Okay. You want to elaborate a little bit more on that, Richard?
Oh, well, one of the patterns we pick up is not asking, not speaking up. For me, growing up, my voice wasn't allowed to be heard. And I had no idea. Comment I asked my sister years ago about being hit at struck in the face at the table when I was 4 years old. And I said, what was that about? And she said, we weren't allowed to talk at the table. Well, that incident was something that played out quite a bit in my life, because in that moment of shock and other times I lost my voice. And, we were taught to work hard and be respectful and kind, but speaking up and asking was not there. So it's strategy of not asking, of just fending for yourself or making do, is common among us, and not having those connection and relationships. And obviously that affects us. For some people the rest of their life, you'll see adults that have very dysfunctional relationships because there's no voice there. You see grown women who can, and it's perceptual, because they may have an authority in a workforce or authority in there, but don't have authority in their own home with their children. So it's not a broadcast one thing. It's in aspects of our life, and that's where we lose perspective. Oh, the guy's a great leader. She's a great talker. Comes home and is abused by their own family. So there's dichotomies there as well.
Yeah, but let's talk about the men also specifically, because we've got this idea that men are the strong people who will, stand up for themselves. And then we actually also get the same one where somebody have not been trained to speak up for themselves. And this guy who runs his own business, or who's in charge of a workforce, goes home and he asks his wife for permission, or he just don't speak.
Yes.
Because that also happens, or he tippy-toes around her because she's going to have some sort of reaction. And so that's also, I see as much that when we get the men to start talking, that their voice have gone away for whatever it is that they picked up. And sometimes it is a slap at a table, sometimes it's a rule, and sometimes it is somebody who didn't learn that their needs are important, but they are there to take care of the woman in their life. And in order not to upset the mother in their life, they will then not speak because it will upset her.
True. And we've been given this lone wolf syndrome, especially in North America and perhaps others. Be strong, be every man for himself, and social conditioning, which I think have been tricks played upon us, right? And then people who have gone into combat zones, war zones, like trauma, like that, it has created silence, but that silence is so painful. The silent suffering. I went through that for years myself, and inside you're screaming for attention. You're crying for, and you don't know what, for some sort of release, and you have no idea. So what we do, I went to the gym. A lot of people medicate or do other things of incredible distraction, but it's so powerful to find that voice in ourselves where it counts for ourselves, not for someone else.
Yeah, I think we must address medicate. I think it's important that we help people to see that if you are only interested in sport and nothing but sport, and this is what you live for, and everybody must love sport like you do.
Yeah.
Or if you are self-medicating with any kind of prescription or any kind of narcotics or alcohol very often, then or with working too much, working is overworking, workaholism, but it is just one of those very common escapes where you can go and be yourself, but you don't have to be the person at work, at home. So you can find excuses, affairs, getting addicted to people,
it's endless to take away from our truth. It's absolutely endless if we choose to. It's
Netflix.
Oh yeah, binge watching horror movies or action movies. Yeah, footballs. Yeah.
Yes.
Like I'm speaking in the men's group as well, so it's interesting to get my voice out there. And again, I was one of those silent people. I knew how to work hard. I knew how to be a good employee, but it took years for me to find my voice, like decades. And I offer that opportunity for people in a much faster way but I never stopped seeking it. Most people give up, and I'm not faulting anybody for their choice. I just knew I needed to find my voice to save my own life.
Yeah, I think getting to that point, getting help to do it, that's a really big thing, to actually know that we are firstly supposed to ask for help, and then second, to find help in order to do that. And I want to come back to the squished feelings, to the avoidance of the feelings, because we fear them so much.
Yeah.
Let's talk more about voice and the kind of feelings that we're going to be avoiding. I'm sure you've got experience of many reasons why people are avoiding speaking out, what it is that they are fearing, which feelings are they avoiding.
Well, I more work also with the nervous system, the vagus nerve, because when you have that compression or that trauma, which they call a dorsal vaga in your system compression, you don't have any range for anything good or bad, anything exuberant. So you stay in that little tight little range, that funnel, like you're squeezing a funnel, and so you avoid so much. You don't go out, you do all kinds of things. So it takes that point of your body doesn't feel safe. So we think it is a mental thing, but it's also a physiological, psychological, and nervous system. It's a chemical. So when you try not to have these sensations, again, you binge, you hide in dark basements watching TV endlessly. You do all kinds of things. So it's that little step at a time for people to come out and start to feel like they're okay. It's helping them what we call regulate your nervous system ultimately. And my work with conscious EFT with that is so piece by piece they start to feel that connection. But this happens when there's a fine tune when it does start to come out of it. We don't come out of it smoothly, like everything's going to be grateful. We come through the storm when it's been compressed. When everything's been compressed like that, and you start to open up that little bit of air, you got to be aware that most people aren't prepared for what comes out, and they quickly pull it back in.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not well known out there about this, how we unload this, open up these pathways.
Yeah. So I often say I am honestly not sure that anybody would have gotten through to me if I wasn't deeply broken open at the time, because of all these defense mechanisms that we are walking around with, that I just have to look so perfect. And I think, if you come back to what we are squishing again, the feelings that we are squishing down, the fear of judgment, the fear of being abandoned, the fear of being inadequate. If we should show any weakness, and we perceive so many feelings as weakness, where it's just like you say, unprocessed trauma that happened. And just to change the story to say, like, you don't actually have to fear anything. All you have to is allow it, and help it to be released. It's the not releasing that's harming us, right?
Yes, because we judge it. We want to judge it, and if we're given this model of how we should be and protect ourselves, and we don't have any idea how to step into this realm, and we judge it, because if we're not this, who else can we be? And that's more terrifying. Yeah.
That's stepping into and getting over the fear. Just that initial fear, that first time. That I think is a very big thing for people, just to give themselves that permission for the first time ever. Let's go there.
Well, that alone, it's hearing someone else's story a little bit, or being with some other people who have opened that door a little bit, saying, oh, okay, they have, hearing other discussions, because when we're in this state, we don't seek other people to model and say, oh, can I even touch that? But the first time is if finding a way to be with somebody and saying, I can take that baby step. And I like the phrase, what else is possible, because it opens up or that's interesting. So instead of we're in this sort of damnation of tightness and conclusion, we just, well, what else is possible here? And not looking for an answer, it opens up the energy for us. It's an access conscious term. So when we change our language, is huge in the sense of, so we just go, what else is, even if you wrote it down, what else is possible? What else is possible? That's interesting. We take ourselves out of judgment.
Yeah.
And
Love
we
it.
start to maybe get a breath.
Instead of contracting and self-protecting, we become curious.
Yes, that's the number one thing we can do, is be curious. And start to just look over the screen and say, what else is here?
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it is a very important thing to stop believing everything that I believe, because they have been born, the ones that I believe the most, have either been born because I was in trauma all the time, or because I have been conditioned in a positive way to give up little pieces of myself.
Yeah.
Be a little good girl, and then I'll love you.
Mm.
That's positive conditioning that is extremely harmful, even although it shapes us to be good citizens. It doesn't shape us to be healthy people, right?
Because we're not in our own truth. I talk a lot about congruency. We're not in our own truth in the sense of people give themselves away by saying yes all the time when they really feel no. The moment you say yes and it's like, oh, you're like this, you contract. So when you start to build those little boundaries for selves, and that's one of the areas I really focus on, starting to say no a little bit, you're honoring you. No to you is yes to me. And that's now you're starting to acknowledge yourself, and it's a little bit of self-care and it's a little bit of self-nourishment. And that's vital to start creating ourself, our and what we're going to attract.
Okay, so I see we've got some comments. I'm not going to go to comments straight away. We'll come back there in a minute. All right, so keep on asking your questions, everybody. We are coming back to comments just now, because I just want to remind myself there was something else that I wanted to ask you. So give me a sec so I can just go and remind myself here. Okay. Okay. That's the thing I want to talk about. The feeling that was never allowed to run its course and move through our system. So I wonder, Richard, can you maybe try and explain that like in a regular English for people? That I think a lot of people has got this uncertainty, like, how do you let a trauma run through your system? How do you let it go its course? So I mean, I know we are eventually we will be coming to FT. And I agree with what you said just before. For me, a very big part of letting it run its course is letting it happen in group work, where you can see the other person and you get the chance to speak about it, and you can get the chance to verbalize it and write it down and retell it many times until it is not that trauma anymore. Let me hear your thoughts on it.
Well, because we are told when things happen, we don't talk about that. Like oftentimes there's trauma, we always say that perhaps there's been an abuse of some type. And in many families, we don't talk about it. So you're not even allowed to ask for help. And some people were punished for bringing it to attention. And, so something happened. Even in accidents where, you've had could have been a bicycle accident, a motorcycle accident, a car accident, and maybe you're banged up. But what we're told is to just get over it. Get on with your life. People come back from the war. Just get on with your life. Just move on. Like you've lost a partner. So we never got a chance to grieve. You've lost your pet. You've lost something close to you. We've never got a chance to actually process, to let that go. It's like you stuff it down and then you're shamed for even trying to ask for help. You're a young child, a young man. But when you actually get a chance to grieve, say losing your pet, which is tremendous for all of us, to go out and just sit wherever you can in the woods to cry, or however you choose to feel the sadness. We're ashamed for feeling. I don't remember crying as a child ever. And realize, you look back and think, how weird. I cry more as an adult. My wife Angie says, you cry more than any guy I know, but I'm not afraid to show my darned emotions. If you don't like it, too bad, so sad. But I was in that frozen state to be stiff up and not ask. And so or a child that loses, but there's a divorce happens and they never get a chance to just sit and feel sad, and it only lasts for a while if you let it go. Emotions have a lifespan.
Yeah.
And when we honor that, we start to, okay, that's I'm okay. I can move something. You give them that space for them to, their nervous system I'm going to go back to regulate.
Yeah. John Kim says it in a way, in a different kind of way, like lean into it. Lean into the feeling,
Yes.
Which is really the opposite of fearing it. Lean into it.
Yeah.
See what's there. Be curious about it. Let it come. Let it go over you. It's not going to eat you up. You know.
Yeah.
The most unpleasantness is actually in the fear. That's where the biggest unpleasantness is.
And avoiding it.
Yeah.
Because it never, if it doesn't process, it stays in your body. And they say there's some statistic about 80% of disease comes from unprocessed emotional aspects of trauma in our body.
Yeah, I 100%. I actually know that I've been such a happily blessed, never sick person until I went through huge emotional trauma, and after that I started having first non-stop migraines, and then my sinuses, and then eventually my adrenals and my thyroid, and it's like, when does this ever stop? But that's not the right question to ask. The right question to ask is, when did it start? And
Yeah.
what have you not released in order that this is still sitting somewhere in your body?
I'll be honest with you, I realized when my late wife passed in 2013, and I went out and looked for help and found EFT. I think that saved my life, because her event intervened in me energetically, that I chose a modality that, if I hadn't been, I was online for a heart attack, I was online for diabetes, I was online for some other dysfunction because of the trapped energy in my body and trauma. So life-ending became life-saving for me.
And of course, this is not hoo-hoo, because there's been so much new research coming out of PNI, psychoneuroimmunology, and so we by now know that there's such. It's not just, we're not surmising it. We by now know how many of these illnesses, and even all these very well-intentioned labels that are being put onto us. A lot of these very severe labels, like borderline personality disorder, is bunches and bunches of unreleased hurt.
Yeah.
And when you release it, the whole nervous system can calm down, and you can come into balance.
Yeah. Yes, I don't want to fight. I don't want to fight the mainstream labels, because they're put out there by the the big guys. But you're right.
I'll fight them. I will, with the biggest pleasure.
Privately, I'll fight them more. You're right, because it's a diagnosis that leads to their model of care, and we're choosing their model of treatment. Our model of care is to get to root cause.
Yeah, exactly. And for me, I'm willing to fight it, because way too many of my clients are misdiagnosed, and the ones who are not misdiagnosed or labeled, the ones who are, the rest are over-medicated. Yes. Completely over-medicated. And the minute you become medicated, how do you release your feelings? Because you get to this levelness, and how do you then access your feelings to even work with it if you are so heavily over-medicated?
You don't, because there was a book I was reading about a doctor who gave a woman a medication because of it. I'm not sure what the disorder, and he said, "How do you feel?" And she said, "I feel trapped inside a pressure bottle." And he said he took her off right away. So I'll never do that to a patient again of his, because it just, on the surface it looked great. Underneath that, the chaos was churning very intensely.
Yeah, I mean, it does become a lifelong trap if you don't look for help, because you sort of feel mellow and like you can handle things, but the actual feelings, the loss, the person who died, the husband who cheated on you, the whatever happened to you, that doesn't go away, because you are not processing it. You are just living with a medication, not allowing you to feel it.
And it also shows up in our relationships when you start to feel safe. I realized in the early days of my marriage, when it was safe and when there was so much compassion and our children were young, I was going through a lot of unprocessed anger. No one knew. And I didn't know what the heck it was at the time. So I would go to the gym, I worked out, I was saying, I ate well, but all years of trauma built up that I was finally feeling safe and loved. I'm walking around going underneath, and other people may react going, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" But it's the energy that's coming out of your body. So I'm just putting out there for awareness that you may feel a great environment and you feel like you're going through hell inside. It's that safety that your system's finally finding a place to let it out, because it seeks release. And So awareness of you're not wrong. There's nothing wrong with you. It's your body's trying to recalibrate.
Muffin cannot settle today. Muffin is
He wants to be in the film.
I don't know. I think you must do some tapping for Muffin.
Yeah. Okay.
Calm down, Muffin, tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so I quickly want to go check if we have any comments. I saw some comments just now. Oh, there we are. Let's see. Okay, all right, here. Okay, so Elise, the wonderful news is that this is just the tiniest little snippet of Richard's wisdom, which will be coming out in our book, which I think we will be putting our book up for pre-order this week. So there is just more and more and more and more. I could pick and choose which passage I wanted to bring on because there was just so much there that we really need to know. Okay, if anybody, sorry?
Do you give credit where credit due? I wrote the story up, and my wife Angela rewrote that. So that's her writing that has put this in a very descriptive term. So all the credit goes to her to make this a literary work of art, where my writing would not be anywhere close to that. So
okay, well done, Angela. Yeah. Thank you, Angela. Yeah. All right. So if anybody has any other questions, then we're going to have a guest on today. So what we're going to do is I'm going to see, Chris, if you're there, if you've got the link, then come on in so that I can see if you've got the link. So we're going to do a little bit of live tapping today, right, Richard?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Do you want to, while I'm seeing if Chris can come on, do you want to tell people a little bit more about what EFT really is? We actually want people to know that it's not woo-woo. It actually works, and there's some science behind it, right?
So EFT stands for Emotional Freedom Technique and was sort of founded by Gary Craig in the 90s. And he learned it from, I think, Richard Bandler and Thought Field Therapy. Now, there was, with the Thought Field Therapy initiative, there was quite a bit of work on meridian touch points. Now, the Chinese acupuncture meridian system is what we use. And if you look on the chart, it's filled with pinpoints and the needles. But he broke it down into the 9 points of the meridians. You know, the heel of the hand, top of the head, center of the eyebrow, side of the eye, either side, under the eye, nose point, chin point, collarbone, under the arm. Now, these all connect to major meridians and organs in the system. Your body is the holder of the emotions. When you have an experience of that, the brain may recognize it in the sense of seeing it. There's a term in the brain and that, but the body's the holder. So when we're tapping like this, we're actually accessing the meridian system, which are contacting it, and which is accessing wherever this energy is stored in our body. So I don't have them all memorized. I don't have to. I know the touch points. I know how I'm feeling and how I'm connecting with you in an intuitive sense. And this is not unique. Many of us learn this intuitive awareness. Like even Louise, with your connection with clients, you see what moves, how their face is held. You look for signs. It's all part of the practice for anybody who's interested in supporting others. And we just go through the methodology and the biggest thing we do here is we acknowledge our truth. And I say it's different than an affirmation, because if you're feeling really depressed, like really down or whatever, and you're saying I'm having a great day, it's sort of counterproductive. It's almost like somebody should just be happy and you're like, bugger off. So we go with what our truth is. Today I'm feeling really down. I'm feeling bad. That's our truth in the moment. So it's just honoring that and allowing that. We talk about processing emotions, feeling, that's where we go. And I love it when somebody's really angry. I teach them what I call the Chevy Chase rant, to really just tap and spew, because in 20 minutes you'll change your story from how angry you are, instead of carrying it around for days, sometimes weeks, months, and years.
We might have to do more of these. Okay, all right. So the good news is Chris is here. I'm going to let Chris in now, and we are when you start with the tapping, we are going to invite everybody to watch along, right? If you watch afterwards, you can still watch along, and it's going to benefit. Yeah, I actually think this is not narrow. This helps us in many, many ways, right?
Well, without even having to put words to it, just using the touch point. So, hey, Chris.
Good evening.
Hi,
Hi,
Chris.
Richard.
Welcome.
Hello, Louise.
Good to see you.
Richard, can I just say that it was an error of mine that I didn't get to communicate with you earlier about this issue. I'm very, very happy to give a synopsis of my trauma now, because there's nothing said about it. So you're okay with that? Can we do things that way?
You broke up a bit, so I didn't quite get everything you said, Chris. So.
Chris, I think Richard's ready. He can start anytime, and
Okay.
yeah. So if you're good with it, Richard's ready, and we can carry on. How's that for you, Chris? Are you ready?
It's a very bad line. I'm just going to move a little bit.
Can you sit on the deck?
Yeah. Both of your voices are breaking badly. I'm just going to move.
We're going to give you a minute to move around a bit, and we'll do it. Okay. So.
Go out. I'll hold this.
So I guess just for the audience that.
Just talk a bit softer. That's all.
Let me just mute them. I just want to mute it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just for the audience, what I'm trained in and through Nancy Forrester in Port Perry, Ontario, is called Conscious Eft Is Safety. Our primary work to people is help you create, in the present time, you feeling safe. We don't, and again, we're not treating trauma, we're treating people. So we're treating them now without going back into trauma. We're offering them, their nervous system, a chance to calm down, to regulate. So you feel safe now. And this is what we do. It's self-empowerment. I'm a facilitator. I just show you the methodology and guide you. And when you start, and we'll talk about the tapping points, even on the finger points, your system starts to what we call regulate. It starts to feel a sense of calming because you're actually accessing the meridian system in your body. So, and doing this on your own is very safe because your system has a kind of a built-in safeguard, because people, I've had this trauma. I don't want to talk about it. But no, just, you could watch TV. You can do it while you're sitting at a park bench, and I like the finger tapping with people because they can do it very subtly, where nobody sees it, and it's not obvious. Like this looks, people think you're weird, which is great if you're on a subway and someone's staring at you. When you, but when you can do this quietly, just watching TV or going for a walk, you're regulating your nervous system, and that's what we continuously seek to do, because everything out there is there to stimulate it in the worst way.
Yeah.
So it's a way.
So you're basically doing what we talked about. We don't have to address the fear of going through feelings.
Yeah.
We are just taking the shortcut, and this is one of the things that works the fastest for trauma relief. All right, so let me get you unmuted again.
It's frozen.
Yeah.
Hi, Chris.
Hi again. I was just trying to get the sound to become better. It's very broken.
Okay. Well, if I sing, it won't hurt your ears then. You're frozen. Or you're mute, on mute, Louise. Still on mute.
How's that? Better?
There. Yeah.
All right. So it doesn't really matter if the sound from your side is bad, Chris. Chris, you can also go on to mute from your side, because we just need to hear Richard, and Richard's going to speak, and we all just follow along, and we invite everybody, the audience, and everybody who comes in afterwards, to just follow along and experience this for themselves. How powerful it is. Okay.
And Chris, I'm just going to do some general tapping, and really it's about creating a safe zone right now in our body, feeling safe. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to start, and then we're going to go through. So we start with the heel of the hand, and we acknowledge where we're at in this moment. So maybe you have a health challenge. Maybe you've had something happen. So you just say, or you're having a health challenge. Even though I have this health challenge, and it's been going on for a while, I choose to accept myself as I am in the moment. Here's our truth point. We may not accept ourselves. We may be feeling very angry. So what this means, I have this health challenge and I'm really frustrated and I don't accept it right now. That's our truth. You know, where in that line is do we find that sort of acceptance? I have this health challenge and I'm so angry I can't stand it and I'm beside myself. That's our truth. We build that slowly because that will start as we move into this, start to move along the line, what I call it, into your magnetism part, where you're really in your truth. So I have this health challenge. It's been going on, and I'm trying everything I can, and I'm just really frustrated. But I'm choosing to continue with it. But I'm also, it's really dragging me down, and I'm just tired. I feel tired. That's my truth. And I accept that I'm tired. I accept that I'm kind of at wit's end some days. I don't know where to go. That's our truth. Whatever it is, whatever we find in ours is okay. So I'm having this health challenge and I've been seeking help, but I'm open to questions and learning more. And I accept myself for my willingness to learn and my willingness to seek some resolution. I'm having this health challenge and there's no need to address what it is or divulge. And I accept myself for who I am in this moment. And I accept that I'm willing to grow. I have this health challenge. And I'm looking for resolution. But I'm also looking for my emotional wellness at the same time. And I accept myself for seeking more. And I'm willing to be curious. And I'm willing to see what else is possible here. Teaching people open questions is important and allows us to seek possibilities. We're not taught that. What else is possible here? And what other feelings are possible for me to feel? And then we just go to the center of the eyebrow. Right in the center. Oops. I've had this health challenge for a while. And it's been quite a journey. And I'm still in this journey. And I thought I'd be further along. But I'm here. Right in here, right now. And either side, both hands or whatever. This has been ongoing. And I'm seeking more help to find some sort of resolution to what I'm experiencing. But here I am right now in this moment. Under the eyes, soft point of the eyes, just under the eye, the soft point. Some people go down here too far. You want to be up just under your glasses. This health challenge, it's taken quite a bit of my energy and time. And it's caused me some disruptions at my work and a lot of money and energy. But I'm not willing to give up because ultimately I want to feel good about myself and I want to have my health return to normal. So what else is possible for me to feel better, feel okay, and return to normal, whatever that is in my world? Under the nose, this health challenge. There's a lot of frustration around it. There's a lot of things I've done and learned, and I still feel that I'm in this spin with no clear answer, no clear path out of it. But I'm not willing to give up because ultimately it's my choice of having this health challenge. So what else is possible here? What else is possible for my awareness? What else are possible for my choices? And any challenges I see, I can also ask, that's interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. And collarbone either side. And some people may find this quite sore. We hold a lot of energy here. And we consciously do this when we're afraid, right? So we can tap either side under the collarbone. Boy, this challenge has been quite a journey. I don't know how long I've been in this. I don't even want to count the hours I put into it, but I'm here and I'm seeking support and I'm willing to ask for help. And that's a tough one for people. People don't want to admit, ask for help and sometimes admit that they're afraid. I'm okay. Sometimes I am afraid. I wake at night and I'm really, really scared sometimes. Honoring those feelings is important. Sometimes I'm just terrified thinking about this. What do I do? Where do I go? How is this affecting my family? Is there other ways for me to feel? Is there other things I'm looking for with this health challenge? Is it something that keeps me stuck in a lifestyle or a pattern that I'm not willing to look at right now? I don't know. We're not consciously aware of all the unconscious reasons we do things. That's why it's called unconscious. So I have this challenge under the armpit. There. Never mind this, the armpit. I have this health challenge. And I'm looking for other solutions, looking for other ways. But I'm also willing to be aware that my unconscious is 95% of my system. We are 5% aware or less of our thoughts, feelings, and actions at any time. And it's actually worse because we receive about 6 billion bits of information per second. 2,000 of that we receive cognitively in our consciousness. And out of that, we actually only recognize less than 200 bits. That's our internal representation system. So there's a lot of information coming in our system that we have no clue, or the patterns we are living by. We have no idea. I often recall us our conscious as the tip of the pen, and the unconscious is the rest. And we think we're driving the bus. We're on the ornament on the hood. So top of the head. So that's, when we start to ask questions, our unconscious. And what else can I do? Is there someone else I can see? Is there another method I can find? But admit our true feelings inside. Some days I'm not happy with myself. Some days I'm disgusted with myself. Some days I'm so frustrated I could scream. Whatever we're going through, we honor. And some people get to the point, there's lots of days I don't even want to be here. That's okay too. It's just a moment of feeling. There's other voices in there. There's other parts of you that have voices inside. You're not alone in there. And yes, we're all crazy. Center the eyebrow again. And we just keep cycling through this meridians. You can do this on your own, just in distraction. Like I said, watching a TV, looking at something else outside, watching your, on the back deck with a coffee. You can tap, and if your neighbor's, asking what you're doing, you're helping yourself. You're calming your nerve system down. This is the best. There's other methods. This is one, but this is the best thing I've ever seen that consistently starts to regulate their nervous system. And just knowing these tapping points, you can find these online. We can share a doc with you that shows you what they are. You don't have to know all these things about it. You just have to start, even if you're close. There's a point where some of the guys have used an outline of a person on a piece of paper and tapped on a piece of paper and had results. Kids, they use it, they tap on their doll, like a stuffed animal, and start to calm the nervous system down. So we don't actually know how this all works. But when you ask a child to do something like this and how they can take care of themselves, they immediately accept this. Like an animal, they're willing to let go. We create stories and beliefs and behaviors and patterns around that. And the stories become part of our personality. Joe Dispenza talks about that. When you have an event and people say, I'm in this mood because I have this event. I got a flat tire or whatever happened. And it was busy traffic and everybody saw me there. And then it becomes a state because 6 months later, people are still talking to me about it. And now I'm really getting upset by it. And years later, it becomes a personality trait because we've told it so often, it's just part of our regular makeup. So when we want to let those conditions go, and this is one of the methods about the story we created about ourselves and our belief, and we don't have to know what the other side looks like. We just have to open the door. Like, what's it like? What would it be like for me to feel healthy? What would it be like in my life if I actually was over this problem or situation and I didn't have it? What would it be like if this was gone and I never had to worry about it? I could go on with my life. That may be frightening. That scares the daylights out. I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. And that scares me because it's something different. Maybe some people have had a condition going on for a long, long time. and going back to what we call normal, whatever that means, might be a new challenge for us. It's like someone who's been, say they've been incarcerated for a long time, decades. You think they would seek freedom. They want to be out in the outside world. But all they have ever known is the conditions they've been encapsulated in for all those decades. That's their norm. To put those street people out on so-called the real world would be chaos. So freedom is where we are at the moment. They may feel free and safe in their environment because that's what they know. So when we have these conditions, we feel safe and normal. So this opening the door to what would it feel like to have new conditions, new awareness, new possibilities. And so I go back to what else is possible. And every choice leads to new awareness, and every awareness leads to new possibilities. It's an evolutionary loop. So I have people write this down on their desks, little things. What else is possible? How does it get any better than this? I didn't make these up. It's access consciousness terms, but we're allowed to use them. And we laugh is whenever happens, no matter what happens, how does it get any better? And this opens it up. And so we stay out of judgment. We stay out of frustration. Even going through, if you're at the doctor's visit or you're going there and you say, how does it get any better? And it's just, it lightens the energy up instead of getting into our shame, blame, and anger. I know that. My father conditioned me like there's always one thing, and you lose on the one thing. He would just lose his mind on one thing. So that was what I grew up with. There's no such thing as a perfect day. There's no such thing as perfection. There's a process of things go on. People spend oodles amount of money to solve the mystery of life. When somebody said, "What if you just came here to experience it instead of trying to solve it?" What are your experiences? What else can we do here that would give us a different experience? And when you're looking at this, is there another way I can look at this illness? Is there another way that I can look at myself with this illness? Is there another way I can look at myself without this illness? What else is possible here? Just doing that opens up your fields of energy and awareness and choice, because you always want to be at choice. I like choice instead of decisions, because decisions we get blamed for. You decide that. You live with it, damn it. Suffer the consequences. The choice allows me to do something for 10, 20 seconds, and I can say, no, that's not it. It's like walking into a grocery store. I'm choosing to go into a convenience store because I'm looking for ice cream. Did I have to buy one because I walked the door? No, they didn't have the ice cream on it. So I chose to walk out and find another store. That's a choice. And that's as simple as that. Even going into meeting somebody online, connecting with somebody on Zoom, you chose to meet up for a conversation. And after a while, said, no, there's nothing here for us to continue with. I'm choosing to end the conversation. I have a choice. I am always at choice. So how we feel about this, and one day we're going to accept this, another day we won't accept it. Today I'm not going to accept this disease. I'm going to feel really frustrated. I'm going to admit that I'm really angry, and I'm tired of it, and I'm tired of myself with it. I'm terrified without it. Is there another way for me to feel? And then sometimes feeling what we call the opposite contrast. I want to be with this illness. I don't want to be with this illness. I want to be with it. I don't want. We play the polarity game. There's many ways we can look at it. And there's many ways we can break this down to open up ourselves into great awareness of choice and possibilities, how we feel. We condition ourselves to foods and behaviors and how we medicate ourselves. We're always at choice. How are we feeling? I know your cat's calm now, Louise. And even just silence. Another way I do this, I teach people the finger tapping, because all the meridians run through the hand. So they're just tapping on your fingers like this. This is good because you can sit with your fingers in your lap, watching TV, and just tapping on your fingers like that. And it's not as obvious. It's the same effect. You're hitting all the meridian points. When you get good, you can learn to do it like this. It took a while to get my hand to be this dexterous. I was pretty painful, pretty tired. Like that. like that. So when I'm walking, or I do it when I'm sometimes driving, my hand's in my lap, and it's down, and I'm just tapping on my fingers, because driving is unconscious, right? So but either hand, either side, one gets tired. There, 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 up and down. And I don't have to think about it. My mind could be a million miles away. I'm still calming my nervous system down. I'm still regulating it. You're lowering the cortisol out of your brain. You're bringing more brain function back online. So this is really good. And people can do this under the table sometimes. You're at a dinner, or you're in conversation with somebody and you're feeling anxious about it. You can still do this quietly in your lap, and no one knows. So it's another way of and it's like someone who has the best one, obsessive compulsive behavior. Over time, they said it was several months, it dropped dramatically. So it's not a one and done. It's an ongoing system, but it really took away their obsessiveness in many aspects of their life. Again, with help and that, but it started to regulate their system and calm it down. So if you wonder why when people work on people's, like an esthetician, people are so talkative, when people are working on their nails, you're regulating their nervous system. A lady I know did that. Couldn't figure out why people are so talkative with her, because she was doing this. She was constantly massaging their meridians. Had no idea. So you can, and especially if say a child is crying, it's very safe. You can just reach down and start tapping on their fingers, very gently on their fingers. The same thing on a child. It'll start to calm their nervous system down. And animals have meridian points and touch points. I've done a little bit of work I was trained once to do some work on a horse, but I never followed up with it. But horses have, dogs, pets, they all have meridian systems. So it's very good to calm them down as well. How do you feel, Chris?
Unmute. I think you're unmuted. Are you? Let me check.
I'm unmuted, yeah.
No, Chris is not. I put my glasses on. No, Chris, you're unmuted. Chris?
Yes, I have a serious problem with the sound on this. I can't hear Louise, and I can't hear you either. It's very.
So you will have to watch the replay. Richard, a lot of what you were doing now it's actually very spot on for me, because I was saying how I've had this migraine and thyroid stories going on forever. I've had migraines for more than 15 years. My life is being determined how my day is going to be is determined by whether I wake up with a migraine or not. It is, and I have rejected it, and I have worked with it, and every time when I think I'm over it, there's another migraine. This is, and I have felt that my body have let me down, and having thyroid problems for over 10 years. So a lot of this was really, really spot on for me, and I love doing this along. And I think about 10 minutes in, I felt that calmness, just that goosebump moment. For me, there's always like a goosebump moment, and you can just feel it, and the muscles in the back of your neck releases, and you just get it. Like you said, here's Muffin. Muffin is as calm as a cat. Definitely worked on Muffin. Yeah. So Chris, go and do the rewatch. It worked 100% on me. And I'm tired of having migraines, and I don't need them anymore. And I release the need for them. And so thank you for that.
Chris, we'll connect after. I'll send you an email, okay? And we'll chat.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. I got that.
Mitch, have a question for you. There you go. For your list for tapping points, and does the order matter?
Generally, no, but the order can be anywhere, but we do have, again, just even touching a few points will be effective. But if you remember, if you just did your finger tapping, that there will pretty well connect everything you need to do. And, you know, you can tap on your hand and do this. So there is lots of YouTube videos shows of the tapping points, you know, heel of the hand, center of the eyebrow, side of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, chin crease, collarbone, and under the arm. There's a lot. If you look up EFT tapping points on Google, you'll see lots of little diagrams and maps. It doesn't have to be in the same sequence. You can start anywhere, because the point is, once you start this, it's just self-care. So just tapping here like this, and then you can kind of do this. Doesn't matter. You're at least giving yourself something that's benefiting you in as much intention as it is anything you're going to do.
Okay. I mean, I've got nothing left in me. I'm as calm as muffin now. Okay, so let's check. Okay, it says thank you. It says thank you. And if there's any more questions, then I'm going to ask that you post them now. I am going to also ask you to share this to people. And please remember, look, I'm calm, but I'm still not happy because there's just not enough hearts up there. So I need a few more hearts there, people. And please share this, please comment. You know the story that Facebook's going to show it to more people. We are going to send out the replay to everybody. Where's Chris gone? Okay, bye, Chris. We are going to send the replay to everybody. I think Chris doesn't want to listen to my song. He goes to listen to my song a lot. Okay, so if there are no more questions, remember, give us some hearts, give us some love, please, and go home and practice. Follow along. You can change the words. Just follow along. It's amazing. And I would love to know if anybody who followed along has got that moment. That one for me, like the goosebump moment, that moment of complete calmness, the one that Muffin also have. So I want to know. Please, in the comment, let us know how you felt during it afterward. If you have any more questions, I love having Richard on. There's just so much more that we can talk about. And these things are so important to everybody that I'm looking forward to us having another one again sometime in the future, Richard, if you are.
Love to. Thank you. I would, in a heartbeat, I'll be here. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, so remember, I need those hearts, please. And see you next time. Okay. Lots of love, everyone. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.
And thank you for everybody who comes on afterwards and watch and comment and share.